Hey everyone, this is Jordan. Just doing a quick snippet video, I guess, of a quick update on kind of a quick mid-season synopsis of Liverpool so far this Premier League season. Now I know we are only at game 16 going on, so not exactly the midpoint, but I think it's a good one to stop, look back, reflect on seeing kind of how coming into the season in the summer, how we felt then, and to kind of seeing how we look now, and kind of how the future looks us from there. So, right now we are entering a really tough period for us in our season, the December month, where we have games against Crystal Palace away. Then the following week we have Manchester United at home. Right after that we have Arsenal at home, Burnley away, and then obviously on New Year's Day we have a big showdown against Newcastle. So definitely in our favor the fact that we have 3 home games. I love that fact coming into from there, and I think December is pretty much our toughest month of the season. I know we've got some some tough games also towards the end of the season. We play Man United at Old Trafford, Tottenham comes to Anfield. We gonna have to go to Villa away. Then of course Wolves at home. Seems like we always play Wolves the last day of the season. It's crazy, right? So I know the back end of the season we have some tough games coming up as well, but I think as far as games in a congested part of the season, this is it right here, where we have so many top games coming up, and I think it's just going to be a great assessment to see kind of how our squad handles that kind of pressure, kind of where we are in the title hunt, and then kind of give us an idea of, hopefully by April time comes around, we are definitely within touch distance to when we're actually in a for real title race. So I just want to kind of take it back to May, June time for Liverpool. So we actually finished the season. I thought we finished the season well after the complete horse shit of a season we started off with. Pre-World Cup, I mean, we were so terrible, man. We were just losing to teams that we had no business losing to. Like that first part of the season, well, I would say all the way up until like February. I mean, that really reminded me of Roy Hodgson's season at Liverpool, where we were just awful, man. It was bad. There were talks about Klopp even potentially looking at getting sacked, which for me personally, I thought that was absolutely ludicrous. I thought the credit, the Klopp uses credit the bank, it was for that season. I mean, I was like, that guy should get time. Sacking Klopp never even crossed my mind. It didn't. The only time I probably thought it would is if I think I said to one of my partners, I was like, if he's really lost the dressing room, then that's when we need to talk and really look at our options. But I don't see why he would have lost the dressing room. I just didn't think about that. I know there was talk always about the 7-season syndrome for Klopp and things like that. So I was personally, for me, I was desperate for Klopp to put it right. And I think during the summer and preseason, I think he understood that, because he came out with his press conference and definitely addressed it. And definitely his slogan was for the season was to trust us. And that was enough for me to be like, big man, I'm with you all the way. But let's kind of pause right there and take a look at kind of what the situation was. So obviously we had players that were leaving the club. Obviously the biggest one that we were all sad to hear to go was Bobby Firmino, an absolute legend at his club. For those people who are just become Liverpool fans and never really got to see Bobby at his peak, which I think Bobby's peak for me was 2015, probably up to 2019. I think those 4 years was when Bobby was absolutely at his peak level. For me, great guy, an absolute wizard, just was the glue to our attack, man. He kept Mane and Salah going, feeding them goals, contributing to big goals as well. He was going to be a big miss, so he left us, unfortunately, this past summer, as well. We also had a couple of players who I know Liverpool fans, probably myself included for one of them, were just happy to see the leave the club finally from there, and that was Ox and Naby. Me personally, I always have time for Ox. I thought Ox for me is what Szoboszlai is for us now, a highly energetic, powerful, technically good midfielder who can contribute with goals as well, because Ox could score goals from midfield. That was just that was his thing. He was going to be our goal scorer in midfield, as well as someone that has high energy, who could press, and also who could link up with the attack. He was pretty much going to be our fourth attacker once Coutinho left to go to Barcelona, but it was just never to be. That knee injury he got, against Roma in the Champions League semifinal, kind of just did his career. Because after that, I mean, we just progressed leaps and bounds, and he was kind of just got left behind, unfortunately, and the team kind of changed once he kind of got back. Instead of just being that goes from midfield, the midfield he was in had to be a functioning midfield, and that's just not Ox's game, unfortunately. And he wasn't just quick enough also to kind of play up front anymore as well. So that injury definitely changed him as a player, and it's bad. I love Ox. I was so thrilled when we signed him from Arsenal, but it just wasn't meant to be at Liverpool, unfortunately. And then, of course, we had Naby Keita. Big hype around Naby. Personally, for me, I didn't see it when he was at Leipzig, but when he came to Liverpool, I kind of saw what people were talking about. Kind of from there, he was definitely a dynamic midfielder, box to box. Was supposed to be that guy who could, connect the defense to the attack in midfield. But unfortunately, I just think the intensity of the Premier League just was too much for him. His body just couldn't cope with that, which inevitably led to so many injuries, so many inconsistent performances from Naby. So he was probably the one I felt we should have cashed in on a little earlier. But I think Klopp just shows he's loyal to his players. He's willing to give you the full length of your contract. Especially if you want to stay at Liverpool, he will allow you to stay. So anyway, those two left along with Milner, who a lot of people came at Milner in that last season, man. But I don't think it was Milner's fault that Klopp kept bringing him in games where you needed a different type of midfielder to come in. But he just didn't trust Ox or Naby to come in and do the job. So Milner was always his go-to guy, always reliable. He knew what he was going to get out of Milner, and unfortunately, it just wasn't enough during those tricky parts of the season. But those players would go. So the big question was, how are we going to revamp this midfield, especially after earlier in the year, I think either February or March time, we were told that Jude Bellingham was not going to be at Liverpool anymore. So that kind of really put the pressure on the club and the owners to really deliver this summer. And in my humble opinion, I think they did a damn good job. So the first midfielder we bring in was Alexis McAllister from Brighton. £35 million. A steal at the time. Alexis McAllister at Brighton, the way he was playing, he should have been about a £60 million player purchase, and we got him for an absolute snippet. Julian Ward, how on earth you found out about that release clause, I'll never know. Great business to bring in McAllister, and a guy who, the one thing I do like about McAllister is that he can play anywhere in the midfield. I know people aren't sold on him as the sixth currently right now, but I get what Klopp's doing, especially if he wants that player in that position who can progress the ball quicker and break those lines, something that Alexis McAllister can do. And not only that, he's a tenacious guy. He's got that Argentinian spirit about him where they're just aggressive in your face, really, really hard players that come out there, especially at Uruguay as well, which I'll, get to the next person as well. So, I can see why he's in that position. Now, is it his best position? No, he's somebody who should be playing further up the pitch, but I understand why he's there for right now. But anyway, great piece of business first, and then we kind of wanted to see, okay, what's next after that? Then it kind of got quiet after that for a little while. I would say towards the end of June, coming into early July, right before preseason started, we go out and absolutely get a steal and get Dominic Szoboszlai for £60 million from RB Leipzig, because we found out that he had a £60 million release clause that stays in effect, I think, up until July 1st. Was that right? And after that, there is no release clause. They could be whatever the price will want to be right after that. So Big George, came in this summer as our sporting director once Julian Ward officially left at the end of June. And he got a good one, man. he got a good one coming in. Dominic Szoboszlai. I think Szoboszlai, the first 8 games. I don't have not 8 games. I'll probably say the first 6 or 7 games of the season, the guy was absolutely unbelievable. Just he is what a modern footballer is, an athlete who is technically good on the ball. And not only just he's good on the ball, his dead balls, his first of all, his technique on the ball is so good. The way he strikes the ball, passes the ball, can maneuver past players is excellent. But also the way he can strike a ball from dead plays, corners, set pieces, is so Kevin De Bruyne-esque, but not really, because the way they hit a ball is totally different. But you know what I'm saying. You just know when he delivers a ball or passes a ball, or shoots, things like that, it's always gonna put the opposition under the caution. It's gonna make them think about what to do and things like that. So, and that's something that we've been missing from our midfield for years. So getting Dom in has been absolutely amazing. He's somebody else I think is just multifunctional. Can play as an 8, can play as a 10. We even found out against Wolves he can actually play as a holding midfielder as well, which is awesome. But he can also play as a winger as well, like he does for Hungary and he did for RB Leipzig as well. So great piece of business there. And I think during the preseason he was excellent. I know he's kind of gone through a rough patch, last few games, but he's a player for me that's kind of undroppable. In my opinion, I think Szoboszlai is always, when you look at the midfield, he's somebody that always has to play right now, currently from there. And then we were moving on to finding ourselves a DM. Now, we were heavily linked with Romeo Lavia for a good bit of that summer, a player that I personally wanted at Liverpool. I think Lavia just offered us so much in that team, somebody that can shield the back four, but also do what Klopp wants, which is to progress that ball forward. But not only that, I thought his long range passing is so underrated. I think that could have helped Darwin out so much, helped Salah out so much as well. I think that was his best attribute as a player, was his ability to ping balls from that deep position, long ranges. And I just thought Liverpool had an absolute weapon right there if we would acquire him, but it wasn't meant to be. He ended up going to Chelsea. But right before that, we actually tried to hijack their deal, for Chelsea's deal for Brighton's Moises Caicedo. Who, I'm not gonna lie, I was gassed when I heard about the deal. We paid 110 million pounds for him. When has Liverpool ever paid a world record fee for it? Well, I'm not saying a world record fee. Excuse me, a Premier League record fee for a midfielder. Like, that's just never happened. I know we do it for attackers because we've done it with Andy Carroll, and then we did it again we did it for Virgil van Dijk. When we bought him from Southampton, he was the most expensive defender at the time, not just in the Premier League, in the world at that time. Before Harry Maguire broke that record, but it wasn't meant to be, and we ended up with Ricardo Endo, who, I'm not gonna lie, was a player I had never heard of prior to that signing. So interesting signing. I was like, okay, he's a Japanese international. I know Japan played really well in that World Cup, especially in games against Germany and Spain. They were absolutely outstanding in those games. So I know he had some bit about him because Japan defensively in those World Cups were very, very, very strong. So the fact that he can also play as a DM, he can play actually as an 8, and he can also play as a defender, very versatile. And so far from Endo, I'm not gonna lie, I like Endo in the 6. I kind of like him a little bit more than McAllister. He brings more balance to our midfield, to be honest. So long may Endo continue going, but this midpoint range, I would say he's been a good signing for us as well. And then obviously, I think for me personally, the creme de la creme signing for us was getting Ryan Gravenberch the last day of the season. I'm just gonna say it. Gravenberch gives me Pogba vibes. From Pogba when he was not the Man United Pogba. Man United Pogba was trash. I'm talking about the Pogba at Juventus, where he just glides past players, makes things happen, consistently dangerous, always a threat, always makes himself available, and his touch on the half turn, I mean, it just takes everybody out every single time. I think with Obviously this season and kind of going into a full preseason, I think we have an absolute player on our hands here, guys. I think when I look at our team, it's like, okay, I know, yes, Ken McCall should be world class, yes. Ken Sobel be world class, yes. Ken Endo probably no, just because of how old he is, so probably not. Gravenberch is the one for me where I was like, man, this guy can potentially literally be one of the best, the top 3 midfielders in the world for a long time. I think he has that ability, and the fact that we got him, I mean, I'm so happy that we got him. I think he's going to be Klopp's crown jewel in midfield for many years to come. And that kind of topped off our midfield rebuild for the summer. And this season has definitely taken my expectations to another level, because I just didn't expect us to be this good so quick. I mean, I know we have one loss on our record against Tottenham, which, I mean, that game was just crazy in and itself. I really don't want to get into all that with the Luis Diaz goals, but even the red cards that we got. Jaws one probably was a red card. He got 2 yellows, so that was kind of stupid of him to do that. But yeah, the Curtis Jones one, for me, never a red card. So, whatever, we're not going to go into all that. But we've been absolutely phenomenal. I mean, we went to Chelsea away, got a draw. We've been to Newcastle away, got a dramatic 2-1 victory. Darwin Núñez with those 2 goals. I've never been so ecstatic before in my life when I saw those 2 goals go in. That was incredible. Obviously, I know we lost to Tottenham, and then we drew away at Brighton. Brighton's always a tough away game for us from there. I don't remember. I think the last time we beat them there was what? I think in the 1920s, the year we won the league. I think this is the last time we beat them away. Away at Brighton. I think the other ones have always been draws, and obviously last season we lost there twice. I'm sorry, we lost there once. We lost in the league. In the FA Cup down there, and drew with them, or they beat us. I can't remember. It was just a terrible season. Anyway, at Brighton, and then obviously we went to City away and got a draw there. So, I mean, we've already been to some of the toughest grounds to play at this season and gotten results for the most part at all these places. Now all these teams have to come to Anfield, and I'm saying, hey, the advantage is up to us. We can definitely do something from there. That's why I think December is such a big month for us, because I want to see what we do to these teams who come to Anfield, like Man United and Arsenal. How are we going to, especially that Arsenal game, how are we going to perform against Arsenal? And then obviously I know we go to the Emirates in February. So obviously before then we play them in the FA Cup in January as well. So definitely some interesting time frames from there. But I think so far our season, I would have to give us like a B+. I think we've been better than I think a lot of people expected us to be. I think we expected a more of a transition. I kind of thought this season would kind of be kind of similar to the 16-17 season, where we put in some good performances, but it just kind of comes short some games, especially a lot of those big games, especially when we have a whole new midfield, and our guys are young as well, not playing with each other. So I thought it would just kind of take a little bit of time to gel. But, I mean, the vets have kind of taken this on board, man. Guys like Mo, Virgil, Robbo, Trent, Ali. I mean, we've got some veterans in this midfield. Not only mention the other younger players that are coming in and stepping up, like Curtis Jones, Harvey Elliott, and Gerald Kwanzaa, who's come out of, I don't probably see it come out of nowhere, but for me in the preseason, that guy was really good. I was like, I know people were talking about we should buy another center back, but I was like, I wouldn't buy anybody. I would give this kid a shot, because I think he's good enough right now to be a first team player, and so far he is. I don't think anybody can deny that anymore. I think he is really good. I think he's probably saved Liverpool £80 million on buying another center back. So long may Kwanzaa's time continue with us from here. So that's my assessment of the team. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know if it's been okay, what you expected, what you haven't been expected. Like, which player are you excited to see as we move forward in the position? Move forward in the league, because I know we've got a lot of tough games coming up, and we definitely want to make sure that we're competitive. So please like and subscribe, and I'll see you soon.